Good morning. Happy Saturday, everyday leaders. We are coming to you through all kinds of streams today. If you're finding this on YouTube or LinkedIn or Twitter, the Everyday Leaders podcast pages, or the Everyday Leaders group, or my personal page, we are streaming to you today to bring you more leadership. This is awesome and amazing. I've been off this platform for a little bit and just trying to figure out how to show up. I've been really busy in my own branding and my own volume of servant leadership here in Indianapolis community. And here's the thing, I have become another co author with Chip Baker's The Impact of Influence. This is volume 5. We did the ladies with influence, volume 3. So we're coming back to you today, and I wanted to celebrate Chip as just a creator, a visionary, a leader in our community to really lead people's hearts, to connect them to what they're really purposed to do. And so, Chip, I love you because you're like a brother to me. You always show up to serve. Your logo is go get it. Live, learn, serve, inspire. Like that is who you are, and everybody that knows you can appreciate that. And so we love you for that. I wanted to give you the platform today to introduce what your vision is, how this book became, how it evolved, and what your ideas are next, because I know you have got big visions. So welcome to the Everyday Leaders broadcast this morning, highlighting the impact of influence, volume 5.
Well, Mel, let's go.
Let's go. Let's go.
No, first I just want to say thanks so much for the opportunity to have us on and to highlight us on your platform. People say, "Hey, I support you. Hey, I love you. Hey, I rock with you." But like Mel, you show up huge, like in everything we've done, like by your actions and support. And I'm truly from the bottom of my heart grateful for that, because you don't have to do that, but you do. And so truly grateful for that. Uh, we came across paths a few years back, via our podcast. We've interviewed each other. We've connected each other to some great people. We've done some work together. I've been fortunate to fly there and speak at your leadership conference. And just grateful for the relationship. And I think that, when you have people that do things like that, it's infectious and contagious, right? And so that's what this journey is all about, the impact of influence. All of us have been influenced by something or someone in our life, and it's influenced us in such a manner that it's impacted us and caused us to be who we are, right? And so I don't care who you are. All of us have had an influence and impact in our life, and we're using that to be a blessing to others. And that's what the impact of influence is all about. Mm-hmm. And so the first 2 volumes we did were men, and the third volume, which you were in, was ladies.
Wait, now I remember when we were doing the second volume, and I said, Chip, what's next? I had no idea.
Neither did I. I didn't either. But it's been a great journey. Been on book tours. I've done lots of different interviews to promote. Several of the people that have been in the books have done their own books. Several of the people, all of us, speaking, all of us are doing amazing things to give and serve and help others. And I'm just grateful to have the opportunity to highlight these amazing people, right? I think the big man has brought them in my life to help me learn and grow. And it's my honor to have them in the impact of influence, just to highlight the amazing things that they do, because like their inspiration and motivation to me. I learn from them every day. And so we have a few of them on today, and I'm looking forward to highlighting them. And audience, you just get ready, because they're going to blow you away with their stories and what they do. And so I'll just turn it back over to you, Mel, and we can get it rolling with these great people.
Yeah. So welcome. I don't know really any of you except for Jose. Jose, we go a long way back with the Life by Design group that we were doing group coaching, and you hopped in there, and now you're part of the John Maxwell team and the Connected Leaders Academy. You are just rolling into your purpose, my friend, your morning mastery. So I would love to start with you, because you just, I know you're just on top of the world right now. So welcome to our broadcast today.
Thank you so much, Melanie, for having me here. Thank you, Chip, for the opportunity to co-author this amazing book. I've got to say, and nice to meet all of the co-authors here and many others that I'll meet along the way. I've got to say for sure, this is a special moment for me in a lot of ways because outside of the fact that, I'm adding to my, I guess, resume or portfolio of what I'm doing in terms of projects, that's a beautiful thing. It's the project specifically that it is, which is the impact of influence and also being in the book with you, Melanie, which is pretty darn awesome. So I've been following Pip for a long time on social media, and it's only recently that he I don't know, within the last 4 to 6 months, something like that, he joined the Connected Leaders Academy, and we've been much closer and growing together and all that good stuff. And now, and I've been reading his books, The Impact of Influence, since volume one, and I have all of his books, pretty much everything he's put out. I have here. I have like a whole Chip Baker section, and I'm just like, like one day, if I'm doing something with my life, maybe I might be in one of his books. That would be like a dream come true, right? And I had this aspiration to one day, maybe, just maybe, be in one of his books, and I would have to like maybe slip him a 20 or something and say, "Hey, man, hook your brother up." And no, actually, he reached out to me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in this opportunity?" And I was like, man, the fact that I'm even on his radar to ask, to me tells me I'm doing something. And then to be in the same book with the great Melahni Ake, who has been a great mentor of mine and very good friend, and I've known her for many years as well, more on an intimate level with Melanie because I've been a part of her programs and various different things. I'm just honored to be on this journey of leadership with Chip Baker, with Melahni Ake, to be a part of this amazing project and really to impact lives is really what we're here to do. So thank you so much.
Amen.
Yeah, this is amazing. I think you don't realize when you have something inside of you, and I learned this, and Chip taught me this because when he came and spoke at my event, I had co-authored a couple of books, and I hadn't realized like when you do your own projects, it gets you so clear on how you're serving in your community, and you begin to figure out like what it is next that is waiting for you. We block our blessings all the time. And then we go, I could do that. I don't have to do it everybody else's way. But if I do it my own way, man, God blesses you beyond
Yeah.
measure, beyond measure. That's why we're here. And that's why we love Chip so much because you get to use your heart to just share your story. So thank you, Jose, for being a part of this project too. So I guess we'll just go around here. So I've got Lindsay, you're next on my screen here. So welcome and thank you for being a part of this and saying yes to it.
Well, I always think about when people are in the room that not only do you aspire to be, but you want to be with 99.9% of the time, right? Because sometimes we need that quiet time. I'm just honored to be with each of you. I have not met any of you except Chip. So hello, happy Saturday. My name is Dr. Lindsay Almquist. I'm a proud executive director in Austin ISD. And I am just in a room full of people that I'm just honored to be with. So thank you for this opportunity, Chip. I have a lot of resignations with what she shared about you. I have only known you for quite a short, frequent time in my life, and I hope that it continues to be further along because I will tell you, you have been just like she shared, a brother. You check up on us. I know you have a million people to text, and you like randomly text me. I'm just like, wow, what an honor to have someone to lead like Jesus does in my life, and I'm just honored by you. And you just having me here in your wonderful. I've looked at all of your websites and all of your information, and wow, what a beautiful person you are. So I'm just honored to be in your presence. I think in terms of impact of influence, guys, I think the biggest thing for me is that, and we said it a minute ago, it's about the heart work. We have a dash to live, and from the day that you were born to the day that we go, you have a dash to live out, and that's extremely important that you live that in carpe diem. So I'm honored to be here. Happy Saturday. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much. Dr. Carlton Todd, welcome. Welcome to the project and welcome to this morning's broadcast.
Thank you for having me, Melanie. Good morning, everyone. I echo the same sentiments that Jose and Lindsay both have said. Chip is just a class act. He's an all-around good guy. I remember I met Chip probably about a little over a year ago, and instantly we connected. And from then on, we've had a relationship. So I'm honored that he even thought about me for this project. And so I'm excited. Like Jose said, I have a Chip Baker section in my library. And it's always good stuff. And they say iron sharpens iron. And so I'm just blessed to be connected to Chip. I personally live by not winning is never an option. How we will win is. I look at life as if it's a game. You have quarters, and you can still have a bad quarter and still win the game. It's all about your mindset. It's all about how you look at things. It's all about making sure that you realize that if I'm going to win, I got to take all options off the table of losing.
Come on.
Winners always talk about winning. Losers are the ones that sit back and make, they make excuses why they can't be great. They make excuses why things won't work out. But where there's a will, there's a way. I never run out of time. I just go into overtime. I'm blessed to be on this. I'm blessed to be on with you guys this morning.
Let's go.
Woo! That was some
And
gold.
Dr. Todd, tell them what you do so they have an idea, if you don't mind.
I am Carlton Todd. I am a proud campus principal in the Conroe Independent School District.
Beautiful.
Excellent. Oh, you're on mute.
And I also have an organization called Boys to Men. This is my 14th year I'm doing Boys to Men. And it's an organization where we take young men and they call it like a junior fraternity, but we just talk about real life issues that we as males face. We teach them how to tie neckties. We teach them how to, make good decisions. We teach them how to use the right fork, how to go on job interviews, how to respect young ladies, how to respect themselves, how to have pride and respect and take responsibility for their actions. And so Chip have actually came and talked to my organization a few times. So for that, I am blessed and grateful.
Your life is about to change. I'm just going to tell you.
Let's go.
It already have.
That impact, woo! It just keeps filling your heart. This is about pouring into your life so that you can pour out to others. The people that you get connected to, and you've all said it, but with Chip, what I've learned is, man, if you need anything that's on your heart and you just want to share that, this is your guy. Like, what can I do to help connect? What can I do to help you get to the next level? What can I help you do to think about it? Right. And that's the impact that you need in your life, because you need bigger thinkers. And that's why Chip brings people together, because he knows that his community, man, it is of the heart, and that's servant leadership. And we can go after anything when our heart is aligned in the right way. So, Chip, I can't say enough about you, man. I love you.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. I love you.
Oh, all right. Thank you guys for sharing. Bruce Villarreal, welcome. And we're excited to hear from you today.
How are you, Miss Melanie? And hello. Good morning to everyone. I'm excited to be here this morning with all of you. I had the fortune of meeting Mr. Chip Baker, and I think this is a tribute to Mr. Chip Baker. I think that's so awesome, and a tribute to all of you, because it's interesting to hear a little bit of your backgrounds, and I want to get to know all of you. I'm sure we'll get to know each other a lot more as time goes by, but I'm very inspired by what everybody is mentioning, because everybody has an interest of changing people's lives, and I think that's important. If we want to change people's lives, we are changing our own life as well. And I'll just want to share quickly my story. I am a businessman. I grew up in network marketing, and I found out about, I told Chip my first speech, I gave it at 5 years old at church. So that was my first speech, and I love to speak. And I spoke to audiences for years. But I had the fortune, I was listening to Jim Rohn a little while ago. I had the fortune of working close to, with Jim Rohn. And I met Mr. Les Brown in probably about when I was 27, over 20 some years ago. And he said, hey, if you want to be a speaker, join Toastmasters and, make it happen. And I did. And I had the vision of being the speaker. And, when you listen to other people, you let other people knock your dreams down. So I think right now this is and I'm sure maybe some of you or all of us have been in that scenario where other people want to knock you down. But I listened to that. I went through a divorce about 6-7 years ago, and I did launch a speaking career, and I was doing very well. But after that, sometimes you can feel that when you hit the floor, that, hey, what do you got to offer? So I had to shake that off. And, you know, one of my goals for this year when I made my vision board, so I'm going to write my book. And so I have a book, several books in the making, which I'm sure all of you have. But, you know, I said, but I want to launch a book this year. And it happened that I met Mr. Chip Baker through a mutual friend who was one of the ladies who wrote the book on volume 3. And because of her, I'm on this book. So it's amazing how when you have that intention, like you all are speaking that language, if you have that intention where you want to take your gift to the world, and, you know, I believe all of you have a gift. We have a gift, and that's what we want to take to the world. And, you know, like you said, Melanie, you know, God aligns us with the right people to make things happen. So I met Chip Baker. We connected immediately, and I said, hey, Chip, I'd like to work with you. And it happened. So this is something that's what can happen in 90 days. It's pretty amazing when you know, make an intention, you write it down. And I had a conversation with someone last night because, you know, you can go through your ups and your downs. It doesn't matter if you're a speaker, a successful coach. We have to deal with our own issues or life situations, and also be that, I get that stronghold for other people, right? So it's interesting. We have to be that stronghold, and you're like, oh man, I got to pick myself up. So like they say, the teacher is learning with the students or as you're teaching. But he said, hey, remember, do things with intention. So, you know, you guys are all speaking that language, and I think that's wonderful. And my intention is to serve. My intention is to change people's lives. And I believe I'm with the right group, great organizations with all of you. So I'm excited to collaborate with all of you and get to know you all. And, you know, I'm available to speak and, serve in any way or have a conversation with you anytime you like. So thank you, Melanie, for having me on board with you. And I want to hear more of all of you. Thank you so much.
That's awesome. You guys, I appreciate this. This is going to be such a fun journey together. I'll tell you what I've been learning is, you know, when you are always preparing, you're always prepared. And so many things have happened to me since I said yes to Chip's first interview, which was, gosh, back in 2018, early 2018. And he said, I'm doing the Success Chronicles and I'd like to interview you about what you're doing with everyday leaders. And so we spent a few minutes, but here's the thing. I was really sick and I thought, I can't do this. I have to let him down. I just can't do this. But something nudged me and said, no, this is the person that you need to show up for. You've been preparing for you. You're always preparing. Like, just share what's on your heart. Don't worry about the details. And so what happened through that experience was just a heart connection, right? It was so much changed in my life, the clarity of you meet somebody that says you have permission to share something different in a different way. And when Chip asks you that last question, what's on your heart, right? What's on your heart? That's what he always says. And you really just feel like I have permission to share where I'm really going and how I really want to focus in the world. And so I don't know if that happened to you when you met Chip, but it did for me. And that's my testimonial that he'll always laugh about. Yet he was my 50th guest in my first year, my 50 and 50. He was number 50, made such an impact in me because it gave me the permission to start writing and thinking about more intentional servant leadership, and just watched how he was doing things. And so I want to encourage you, for those of you that are just experiencing the Chip Baker experience, this impact of influence, this momentum, it is true and it is powerful. And so really just learn from each other, connect to each other, understand what you can do to just show up and add value, and your life will just change. I'll just tell you that. That's my own testimony. But I believe that when you're showing up today, right, you're preparing for what you're going to talk about on your stage. You're preparing for what you're going to talk about if you're teaching in a classroom. You're preparing for what you're going to talk about at a luncheon that someone says, hey, this happened to me this year. The governor's wife was supposed to speak. She got sick. On the way to the event, someone asked me, can you fill in as the keynote? Right? That would have never happened had I not taken the first step of intention to know what I had to say was important. And it was all about preparation, right? When you're preparing, you're always prepared. So don't ever lose that momentum. Don't think that it's not enough or you're not being heard, or, yes, I was in this book, but nobody really listened to it, or I did a book signing and only 4 people showed up. It's the one person that you're supposed to change their life in this world. That's what you were designed for. So I just want to encourage you to keep going. Hi, Paula. Yeah, Paula Lamy is here joining us too. Hello. It's great to have you um, joining us this morning. So, I want to just turn this over to you all because I know what you do every single day. You're learning these lessons. What is the one thing that you would say has influenced your life the most up until this point? What is that thing? I'm gonna just kind of have an open mic here, and Jose, I'll start back with you since you were the first one, and let's just share with the audience so they can get to know us a little bit more.
Yeah, so I didn't say earlier. So I'm the founder and CEO of the Entrepreneurs Bookshelf and the Connected Leaders Academy, and I've co-authored 5 books, and I have my own book, "Winning the Day: An Entrepreneur's Guide to Morning Evening Routine Mastery," which is off of my program, the Morning and Evening Routine Mastery best-selling program, doing really well there. That's kind of what I do. I'm a coach, author, speaker with Maxwell. I guess Maxwell certified, and yeah, and actually my first podcast, believe it or not, was with Melahni. And I will always remember that because you opened the door for me to believe in myself on a higher level. Because I didn't think who would want to interview me on a podcast at the time, right? Because I was doing things, but I wasn't doing things in my mind, right? Because I'm a tough critic on myself. And you said, I need to interview you. You need to be on my podcast. And I said, great. And you opened the door. And since then, I've been on, so many podcasts, I've lost count. But it all started with you and your coaching and all that. So thanks again for that. So in terms of, for me, I've been influenced by my parents on a very high level. My parents came to this country with essentially nothing, no English, no money, little education. At 20 years old, and I think like 22 years old, and they've been in this country ever since. They pursued the American dream, went from zero to hero, and did amazing things. So I've seen they've been married 40, I guess, going on 49 years, and they raised 4 boys all at the same time, back to back kind of thing, and it was not an easy task, But I speak to that in my chapter in this book, and my chapter is called "A Dream Backed by Hard Work." Because my parents came to this country with a dream and they backed it up with hard work. And then the game changed and they became entrepreneurs, making tremendous impact. Good to see you, Dennis. Also, Paula, good to see you. And Brian Brojan, I saw you as well. Good to see you. So anyway, so that's kind of what I speak to in my chapter is how they influenced my life and how they impacted my life. And how now I'm taking what they gave me, the foundation that they gave me, and the opportunity, especially in this country, number 1 country in the world, as far as I'm concerned, is really giving me the what I need to really roll my sleeves up and step into that hard work that I witnessed, with their leadership, because it was ultimately leadership. And as John Maxwell says, leadership is influence, right? So they influenced me in such a tremendous way, and I am forever grateful that has opened doors to so many things. And now I'm impacting lives like I never imagined. I mean, I kind of saw it in my vision, but I didn't see how it would be possible. I was just by faith, walking in faith, and I was putting one foot in front of the other and just staying in the lab, always working on myself, personal development, personal growth. Intentionality is what, again, a John Maxwellism, right? So it's all of those things that kind of led me to where I am now. And as all the amazing things that are happening, the Connected Leaders Academy is now 226 members in 11 countries and 35 states, coast to coast, in 10 months. And all these books that I have out there right now are in this year alone. And Connected Leaders, the what is it called? The Entrepreneurs Bookshelf, my mastery program is multiple 6 figures in under a year, and all of this stuff has happened in less than 12 months. And the crazy thing about it is it's not, to me, a surprise. It's simply somebody gave me the vision with their leadership and their influence, which was my parents. And then I said, okay, let me tap into my potential. And so many people don't really tap into their full potential, because of the automatic negative thoughts in their mind and the doubt and imposter syndrome and all these things. So I am just, honored and grateful. And my chapter hopefully will touch some people and inspire some people, because we all need a little bit of inspiration to get to that next level.
So proud of you, Jose. I've known you for a long time and I've just watched you thrive. You got really clear on the things that you were doing and you just showed up how you were going to show up. And so that's what's so important. You don't have to compare yourself in any way. You just have to know what your lane is. And when you get clear on that, that's where it starts. But Jose, you've been so dedicated to preparing for so many years, and you have been dedicated to learning the processes. And so when you open the entrepreneur's bookshelf, for one, it was, I'm reading so many books, and we know that, reading changes you. And when you start to apply it. And so that's what you've done. And I can be a really a witness, side witness to that, because I've watched you just develop what your dreams have been. And so congratulations to
Really,
you. And
really quick,
yeah,
just really quick. Thank you so much for that. What I always say the 6 P's, right? Proper prior planning prevents poor performance.
Mm.
So I'm always planning. I'm always in the lab. I'm always trying to get better, sharpen the axe type of thing, right? And it's gotten to the point where I'm just like everything that's happening now has been in the works, right? I've been for years learning, decades, right? Just learning. But information without implementation is just head knowledge, So it wasn't until I actually executed on the things that I was learning, and I started taking action, and not just action, but massive action. That's when the game changed. And it's really that. It's at the end of hard work. It's at the end of taking action. It's at the end of stepping into your truth and your reality of what you're put on this earth for, and what your purpose and your mission and your vision is. And like you said, I am clear about that now. And this is just the beginning. And it's kind of scary because things are moving quick.
But you can't do it alone, right? That's what
Yeah,
you've learned. That's what I
yeah.
think is so amazing, to hear your story and watch how you have kind of put this vision together, because it takes a lot of people to carry that vision. And so being a leader, like John says, right? You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. You got to start taking those steps, and taking that massive action is when you get really clear. So yeah. Congratulations to you, my friend. Very proud of you. So excited to be in this book with you. Lindsay, I'll give you the floor next, and let's just dive deep into your chapter.
Well, thank you. I don't know if I can level up to Jose. I'm just going to be transparent with you.
Hey, no comparison gap here, right?
Yeah, we need to talk, by the way. When you were sharing about your last 12 months, what a blessing. Congratulations. God has got great things. And as you already shared this morning, as you are getting to where you're going, that's the whole point, right? Like it's during that dash that's so important. And it sounds like you were just living that out. You were completely carpe diem. So I'm honored to be in a space with you, Jose. Thank you for sharing. I am a first-time writer. That is not a dissertation, Dr. Todd, right? We know that work. I was I call myself a recovering dissertation writer, and high school, middle school, elementary principal. And I get to serve principals now. So everyone in my life, both professionally and personally, have really thought that I was going to write about work. And my husband, even one night, he said, okay, so did you write your second dissertation for Chip's book? And I was like, well, that's a very interesting perspective. And he said, well, what did what leadership quality did you talk about? Because I have, when I was working with an executive coach about 2 years ago, I really developed like the 3 words that represented me, which was lead, empower, and serve, which is like without one S, less. Like I'm always put the mirror on myself. I'm less and they are more, so that people can be empowered. And so he just assumed that the book, in my chapter in the book, would be about me being less. And I said, you know what, when I'm ready, I'm going to read it to you. And one night, that was our date. We laid in bed and I read the chapter to him. And the one thing I will tell you is that you don't meet many good men in life. And I'm not speaking of the men in this room, and Chip is amazing. But I have learned with colleagues and friends, especially with marriages, it's difficult. And when you dream of a spouse, Cody surpasses all of those dreams. And it wasn't until about a couple of years ago that I had to stop, drop, and pivot and really realize that what I thought a marriage was nothing compared to what it gets to be. And God has truly blessed us with that. I don't know why I'm crying. I don't even know you. But it's been such an honor and a pleasure to be able to write about Cody. And it surprised him we got to have a really deep conversation about things that he didn't realize that impacted me. And he is the reason I'm so proud to have Almquist as my last name. He is very Swedish. It is very Swede. And I went from Irish, I don't know if you can see the red hair, to Swede in 5.2 when I got married. But the reason I say that is because I had a really hard time. I finished UT, my doctoral work, in 2 years. During those 2 years, I was a high school principal, and we had 2 babies in the same year. And it was a kind of a whole bunch of different domino effect. And that is in the chapter of how and why that even happened. As most of us know, that's not a planned event. You don't usually plan to have babies during your dissertation work while you're a high school principal. It doesn't really work well. But he really taught me what leadership is. And he's not he would never do something like this. He is not an in the window, in the spotlight. He is a calm, gentle giant. And when you think about what Jesus did when Jesus was here, he was not in the temple. He was not in the spotlight. And I always think about that with my husband. And I'm honored to carry his name, not because, and by the way, I'm a little feminist, so that's kind of surprising. People actually were surprised I didn't keep O'Neill Almquist, which you'll see that as my middle name. My O'Neill is my maiden name in honor of my papa. But with that being said, I really think it's just an honor to be able to say, when you hear my name, it's really in honor of my husband, who is the reason that I am who I am. And so my chapter is called My Island, because that's really who and what he's been in my life. And we have walked a lot of journeys, as many couples do. And I just honor that there are still such, even behind the scenes in the dirty times of life, people that will walk in the mud with you. And that is what leaders do. And I'm honored to share about him and our story. And I'm looking forward to hopefully empowering women and men to be better for their love, because people deserve it.
Ah, that is beautiful. Wow. Thank you for sharing so much from the bottom of your heart. I cannot wait to read your chapter. It is an amazing journey. The first time that you write about something that's so personal to you, and you say the theme is who has impacted your life. And that starts to bring up all kinds of emotions and feelings, and people could go in a lot of different ways. Yet, when someone reads this off the page, and, John Maxwell is my mentor. He's the one I go to, and it's why I am included in the leads that I am with him. But he always says, like, when you write something down and it's published, you will touch people that you will never be able to meet in this world. And so even when you start speaking about it, or when you get asked to talk about this or do book signings, you will see people that will, teary-eyed, come to you and say, "You've changed my life. You've made me think about something differently. You've changed what I'm going to do next." And that's really, I know what Chip's vision is for all of this, is because that's how momentum happens. So congratulations for, giving yourself permission and the freedom to write about something that is so personal. So great. Thank you. Dr. Todd?
Call me Carlton.
All right, Carlton. Let's go.
The
Let's go.
The name of my chapter is Loser to Leader. Words Matter. My story is unique. I'm an educator by, as far as professional. I became an educator not because I had that favorite teacher or that teacher that inspired me. I became an educator because I was told that I was what I wouldn't or what I couldn't do. You see, I was the bad kid in class. And not only was I the bad kid in class, I was very mouthy. And because I was very mouthy, I was always told that, "Oh, you're too grown," and, "Oh, you'll never make it far. You're loud. You like to piss people off. You like to, I was told all those things. And so sometimes when you hear those things, sometimes you actually begin to believe them about yourself. They begin to manifest as to who you are, who you think you are. And so I remember one day I had a teacher that told me that I was a loser. And so, believe it or not, as bad as I was, those words resonated with me. And so it was my job to make her job a living hell for the rest of the year, and I did a good job at it. But I also remember too that it's up to me to make the decision if I want to be a loser or if I want to be a winner. And so I began to think about all those people that said those negative things about me who never got a chance to know little Carlton. I always say there's a difference between little Carlton and big Carlton. If you would have told me 15 years ago or 20 years ago that I would have a PhD, I probably would have laughed at you simply because I thought for so long when you're told that you're average and you're told that you're mediocre and, you're told that, you're told what you're not, it began to actually manifest within you. But when you have that one person and that one person becomes you, and then you begin to hear other people think highly of you and they say things of you. I've always been a leader. I've always had influence on people. It's just that sometimes I would use my influence for negativity.
Mhm.
And so I learned to turn that negative influence into a positive influence. And so I think about my childhood. I think about where I grew up from. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I'm from a subsector called Oak Cliff. And so I think about a lot of people that I grew up with. They're either in jail, and some of them are deceased, or and it was just my inner thoughts was I cannot be a statistic. I will not be a statistic. And so I fought hard to not be a statistic and to erase every stigma that was attached to me. And so I also remember being in education, and I remember how one of my leaders made me feel. And for the first time in my profession, I was depressed. I was, I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I hated my job. I actually remember being in church one Sunday and I was crying. And they was like, "Oh my gosh, the Holy Spirit is on you." And I was like, "No, it is not the Holy Spirit. I'm depressed. I
Mhm.
gotta go back to that place tomorrow." No. And so, and I remember asking God, like, "God, here I am. I'm in this place. It's dark. I don't feel valued. I don't feel like my purpose is, being promoted. Why am I in this season?" And God said, "Carlton, I blocked this particular place for you.
Mm.
But you were adamant that you had to be here." He said, "Remember the first time you interviewed for this position? I blocked it. You went and applied again, and I blocked it again. And the third time you applied, I just said, you know what? I'm gonna bag back and I'm gonna let you do you." And when I tell you that was the worst decision that I ever made, that it could have been not only career suicide, but it could have been the end of my demise. And so I'm just grateful and thankful that I was able to, share my story, how our words matter. And so every day I try to make sure that I live out my purpose. And I know my purpose is to motivate, inspire,
Mm.
and empower teachers, students, parents, educators. I tell my people all the time, everything that you think a principal should look like, sound like, talk like, walk like, act like, that's not me. I'm totally the opposite. And so I'm going to say this and I'm going to leave this. We live in a world where everybody is trying to impress, one another. We live in a time and we live in a world where everybody is trying to imitate one another. I believe that God has given us all a gift. And sometimes we feel like we have to walk on eggshells so our light won't shine. God told me the other day, he said, "Carlton, you're a solar. You don't need batteries for me to shine your light. What you need is for you to walk in your purpose, walk in your destiny, and you're going to shine even when you're not trying to shine, because whatever God has for you, it is for you. But not only that, you can never kill what God wants alive."
Mm. Mm. Wow. People that are watching are commenting too. That is amazing, Carlton. You're going to touch so many lives with this, giving people the permission just to say, I don't have to be who I was. I can do anything that I want. I can do anything that I see. You guys are all such encouragers here. Think about your stories today. People that are watching right now, you're making them think differently. So it's so important when you show up, right? Sharing your heart, sharing the truth, sharing what matters. Do it your way. Do it your way. That's my 2 cents. Do it your way. Thank you so much. Bruce, let's hear from you. Let's hear a little bit more from you. And thank you again,
Thank
you
you, Miss
guys, for
Melanie.
being on.
Yeah, I'm so inspired and encouraged by everybody's testimony and short story. I can't wait to read your chapter. I already requested everyone on Facebook, so please reply. I want to connect with all of you. So I did my research really quickly. I want to connect with all of you. Man, I'm so inspired. Jose, Ms. Lindsay, and Carlton, for all that you're doing. Wow, I want to read those stories. But, to mention really quickly on Jose, he's, is giving credit to his parents and his background. I'm kind of wondering where he's from, his family. I know he's Latino, Hispanic, so I want to find out more about your story, Jose. Ms. Lindsay, what you said about your husband, wow, that is awesome. We do need more empowered men and women and couples. We're living in an era where there's no respect for marriage anymore. So I think that's awesome. I think that's going to be very impactful. And Carlton, what you're doing is awesome. I love your openness on depression, because that's something that we can go through, those dark moments. And I lived those dark moments, and I've had to struggle. And I think everyone who's watching has had those dark moments, but most people are not willing to admit it. Not willing. They don't feel vulnerable enough where they can say, hey, you know what, I'm going through that, or have gone through that, and share it. And I think the real success that we can share is our dark moments and our mistakes. Because about success, well, that's the happy time, that's the good time, but we need to talk about those dark moments where, hey, you had to cross your desert of your life. And talking about that subject, Miss Melanie, my chapter is titled Rising Up, precisely because I'm a 49-year young man, but I had such a good life in my life. I had the great fortune, but sometimes you can live such a good life that you don't value what you have. And I think that's part of my message today. Hey, value everything that you have. Number one, our day that we have today, this opportunity we have together to connect and to impact other people's lives. With your words, like Carlton mentioned, we do have power in our words. And yesterday, a friend of mine was depressed because of some devastating words his girlfriend told him. And like the Bible says, words can upbuild and it can destroy. And we're in a power team where we want to uplift other people. We need to encourage. I think that's one of our greatest purposes, to encourage others and ourselves, because, the world is discouraging. Really quickly, when I mentioned to someone that I was going to be co-authoring a book, guess what they told me? Who do you think you are to, write a book? Who do you think you are? And now that I'm thinking is I am who I am, and we do have a gift. And maybe some of you have had resistance from others, either today or in the past, like Carlton mentioned, the teacher who said what she said. But we have those teachers because at the end of the day, they're teachers. They're kind of testing us. Hey, are you going to break through, or are you going to, cast that upon you? But we want to be casters of upliftingness to other people, for them to live their dreams, to serve us and serve others, because everybody has a purpose. But one of the things that I wrote about in the book, in my chapter of Rising Up, is I did lose Lindsay. I did lose my family. I did lose my wife, because I did not have that value like I should have at that moment. And I think, that can happen. And, of course, God puts you on your knees, and oh my God, you learn to live, you learn to value, you learn to understand. And I think, when you have such a good life and you go through the deserts of life, you're like, oh my God, you don't know how to deal with pain. And that's part of the chapter, how to overcome pain. And I'm sure all of us, and every one of us has gone through some sort of pain in our life, or many pains in our life. But like Les Brown says, Murphy's out to get us. It's going to happen, it's going to hit you on the blind side. And we have no choice but to laugh about it. But when you're going through that darkness, you're like, oh my God, when is it going to be over? When is it going to be over? And so, I thank those angels in our lives that do show up, and they're, they hold you by the hand and they walk you through that desert. You learn through teachers like yourself, who have encouraged us and inspired us to, okay, get back up. Let's make it happen one more day. And also to talk about, the mistakes we made, and our errors of judgment, because again, that's real success to my point of view, because everybody wants to hide behind this facade, like Carlton mentioned. And I think everybody mentioned that hey, you want to be who you're not. Hey, we're human beings, we succeed and we fail. We make mistakes, and we make good calls of judgment and wisdom. So I think, at the end of the day, that's part of our impact of influence is sharing your story to impact other people's lives. I'm inspired by what I've heard today, but that's been my greatest journey, Melanie. I've always had the gift of influence, of encouraging others, inspiring them. But even then, I think my greatest thing to overcome was, hey, you know what? You failed, and it's okay. Get back up, shake it off. What did you learn? Throw some love at it, love at yourself. And it's hard to love yourself when you failed miserably. And God is good, God is great, and we can get back on our feet and make it happen and shine our light, like Carlton said, because even if you've gone through darkness, you got to continue to share that light. So that's part of my message, Miss Melanie. And
Yes.
sorry, thank you so much.
Oh, no, that is awesome. You guys, can you see the power of connection right here just today? This is wonderful. This is wonderful. I'm just going to share a little quip about my chapter. And thank you so much for sharing that, Bruce, because that really hit home. We've got lots of people here that are commenting on the side here. What I think, to wrap this up, we talk about language. And so many of you have talked about what you say, what you believe, what your thoughts are. A quick trip around my chapter is the impact of language. And so I didn't realize, right, those things that you don't understand until you're older. Lindsay, you kind of talked about that. You don't realize it until it really makes impact in your life and you start to appreciate it. Jose, Carlton, all of you have talked about this. For me, my father passed away when I was 5, and we struggled, as my mom and myself. But what she told me on Mother's Day last year when I said, hey, let's get on Clubhouse together. Let's have a Mother's Day interview for Clubhouse. And she shared a story that I did not know, that when my father died, she came back to Indianapolis and she just went back to work because at 30 years old, as a widow, there were no other widows in the world at 30 years old. She didn't know how to communicate that. There weren't any support groups in 1973, right? There wasn't anybody that she could confide in. And that has prevented her really from being able to connect to people in a different way for her whole life. Not saying that she needed to be validated, just she wasn't sure how to have a mentor or how to have those tools or how to get those resources because she was just surviving. And I think so many of us have experienced that even through COVID, right? We've just survived. We don't know how to do it. We've not had an instruction book. We may need to have somebody tell us how to do something right before we're able to try it. And so we've all been tested in these last 3 years. And so the encouragement is like, it doesn't matter what it looks like. It just matters that you understand how to evaluate it, right? And how to make it better and how to teach somebody else to look for those lessons. So that's my chapter, the impact of language. And there's a lot of other hidden gems in there that you'll read about. But I think it's so important, to continue to write. And I want to encourage all of you, continue to be in these book projects, collaboration, become an author, do the things that are on your heart to teach people, because it gets you clear on your journey, right? It gets you clear on how to serve bigger. So I appreciate you guys all so much. Let me see here if we've got some other chats. Yeah, one more. Yes, thank you. I can't see your name on here. I don't think you're signed into StreamYard, but thank you. Yes, we appreciate it. I know we are all going to be on book tours with Chip in the future because that's what Chip does. That's how he serves us. Before we go, I would like for us on the count of 3 to do what Chip always does, right? You know what I'm going to say. So, are you ready? On the count of 3, let's give Chip the old salute. So go get it. 1, 2, 3.
Go
Get it. There we go. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being on Everyday Leaders broadcast today. We appreciate you celebrating the impact of influence, volume 5. Here we go. It's been an amazing journey. Want to have a great time experiencing this together with you, launching this book. It should be out here in December. So if anybody wants to order this from any of these authors or Chip's website, please don't hesitate to get a copy of your book, The Impact of Influence, Volume 5, Great Christmas Gifts. All right, guys, have a great day, and we will see you soon.
God bless everyone.
Yeah.
God bless.